Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel, it's Hazard12 here, and today I have got myself a brand new custom tactic to share with you guys. I said on stream last night I was going to have a fiddle, see what I could do, see if I could find a winning formula, and I stumbled across a really strong custom tactic I've been using and winning games with in Elite Division. I have played it in about 5 or 6 games, I've won 5 and drawn 1, so it's obviously pretty good when it's up and you consider obviously it's Elite Division. So please do drop a like and subscribe, all the support is really appreciated, but I'm just going to jump straight into it because I am waffling on. So defensive style is balanced, it stays on balance. The reason for that is because you can pick and choose how you want to defend. It suits individual playstyles a little bit better than trying to pick a different defensive style. I do think press after possession loss is definitely usable this year, 100%. Just for my personal playstyle, balanced works a bit better. But feel free to give press after possession loss a go if that's something you like to use. For the width, I've just bobbed this up a little bit to 60, maybe even 65. It's up to you, kind of, you'll get a feel for the tactic if you do use it. Because it's a 4-2-2 and there's no natural wide players, obviously, apart from the fullbacks, I do feel like it's quite important to kind of just stretch the play a little bit, well, stretch your players a little bit, to try to fill in gaps that they usually wouldn't be in if obviously the width is a bit lower. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit important just to have it a bit higher. You don't want it too high, otherwise you'll have a massive gap between, your central players and your fullbacks and stuff. But 60 or 65 is a good middle ground. Depth, like always, I push this up. I got up to 75. I did try it on 80. I did try it on 85. Again, perfectly usable, but just for my personal playstyle, I find 75 to be a really happy middle ground for me. Feel free to drop it a bit lower if you like it a bit lower, 70, maybe even 65. You don't want to drop it too low because high depth is really effective this year, in my opinion at least. But yeah, I did try it, like I said, at 80 and 85, and it worked perfectly fine. So yeah, have a fiddle with it and see what you like. Build-up play is balanced for the exact same reason that the defensive style is balanced. I just find that all of these, they kind of force you to be making passes that you don't necessarily want to make. I think balance, you could pick and choose your own personal play style, and you can kind of cater it to yourself. You can kind of maybe go a long ball. That's the only one I would probably try and use, but I kind of think balanced gives you the best of everything. Chance creation, though, I do change that to direct passing. I think that this has actually been a really good way of playing this year. I've had a lot of success with it. What you find is that your players are happy to run into spaces that you don't really need to tell them. It's like pressing, L1 and getting your players to run in behind or whatever, or run into space, without actually having to press it. So I think that it works really well. Again, balance, you can use balance if you want. Possession, I tend to stay away from for now. I haven't tried it for a little while, but when I did try it, I wasn't having a lot of success with it, but I am willing to give it another go and see if I can make something work of it. And forward runs, I feel like you will just get absolutely obliterated on the counter attack. I've tried it a few times, and I find I have a lot of players out of position. Again, maybe with the right system and the right formation, it's something that could work, but for now, I'm finding direct passing to be the most effective way of playing. Width, again, pushing that up again to 60, maybe even 65. I kind of like 60 again. It's just a good little middle ground for the exact same reason like I explained on the defensive style width. It's just to make sure that you've got players getting into spaces, getting into, parts of the pitch that they wouldn't naturally be getting into. Players in the box, 4 or 5 is perfectly fine. I explained on a previous video that I did used to have it on 7 or 8. But I just find that unnecessary now. I find that 4 or 5, and you'll see from the gameplay later on at the end of the video, that people are still getting into the box and scoring goals. Perfectly fine. It's your 2 strikers that are always getting on the end of it, which is absolutely fine. There's no need to worry about anything else with that. So 4 or 5, that's fine. I just leave it on 5, because why not? Corners 3, very tempted to drop that down to 2, but for now I'm going to keep it on 3, and free kicks down to 2. So yeah, the formation itself, like I said, the 4-2-2. Seen a lot of good things about this. I've seen a lot of people saying that they're using it this year, so I thought this is the formation I want to give a go, and it works really well. I really enjoyed it. But for the instructions themselves, so we're going to have the left striker, my left striker. I will say again, you don't have to mirror this. You can, swap it if you want to use your right striker. The reason I picked my left one is because he's the slower out of the 2. So I have him as stay central and nothing else. And then I have my other striker, my quicker one, as drift wide and get in behind. With the direct passing, chance creation style thing on, you'll find that getting in behind is something they're going to do naturally anyway, and it's not going to necessarily stop on out of it who's not got it on from not making runs. You'll see in, if you use it yourself, he is still going to be exploiting the space, so it's perfectly fine to leave him like that, and I'll leave him as stay central because he's obviously drift wide. Need someone in the middle, and he's drift wide because I want him to be the one who's getting into spaces that he wouldn't usually be getting into because he's a striker, not a winger, if that makes sense. So yeah, that works perfectly well for me. The two cams I have as stay forward and stay on edge of the box for cross. You don't need them getting back because you're going to see that two centre mids, the CDMs, are going to be the ones doing the defending. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory really. The whole point of this tactic is when you win the ball back, you've got four people up top ready to just absolutely blow your opponent away. So yeah, and I don't really want them getting into the box too much because I want these guys to be the people putting the ball into the box from the byline, which again you'll see from the gameplay. There's a perfect example of one of those goals that I score that I've left in the video. And then moving on to the CDMs, if I could get there, we're going to have cut passing lanes, cover centre and stay back while attacking on both. I was inclined, and I did try it for one game, to leave one of them, Vidal, as just balanced or maybe even get forward, but it just didn't really leave a good enough balance for the team. It's kind of like, especially when you see the full-back instructions, you're just leaving yourself a little bit too exposed at the back. So cut and pass and lane, stay back while attacking and cover centre is perfectly appropriate, and it provides you with more than enough defensive cover. But moving on to the fullbacks, I just have overlap on them. Now, again, fullbacks are always a bit like whatever. Some people like not having fullbacks going forward, some people do. This is what I do, and I find it works pretty well. You'll find that they're happy to make those runs obviously in behind, and it'll obviously give you an extra option when going forward. Because these four people here aren't getting forward, you find that the fullbacks, you don't miss them as much, and even if you do, because you've got so many people in the middle, they've got time to get back, especially if you've got quick fullbacks like the majority of people do. So yeah, it's worth giving it a go if you've not tried it before, but obviously feel free to play a little bit more conservative if that's your kind of play style. Do what suits you, but I'm just sharing personally what's worked really, really well for me. But yeah, guys, that is everything. That is the video. Well, that's not the video. They got some gameplay at the end. That's the custom tactic. That's the formation. That's the instructions. I was like I always do, show some goals, show some games at the end so you guys can get a feel for how the tactic works. So yeah, I'll catch you there. So then guys, into the gameplay, and you can have a look now about how the way the tactic flows and the kind of things you can expect if you choose to use it. A lot of the gameplay, well, a lot of the actual way the tactic work is based around your cams. It's about getting the ball into them and having your players make runs off the ball, and then obviously then finding them. You'll see that there's a selection of goals that we score. That one's a bit cheesy. But yeah, it's a kind of a little bit of everything. It's a mix of all kind of goals, but like I said, a lot of it, this tactic is really good at winning the ball back and then just springing on your opponent, having loads of players run forward and overloading your opposition, your opponent. And what I really liked about it is a 4-2-2 is seen as like a really attacking formation, obviously rightly so, but with those two CDMs it provides such a high level of protection. Like, it makes me feel so solid at the back. I was saying on stream last night I was struggling a little bit defensively and I was conceding quite a few goals. I was saying like I need someone else to help Barella in that midfield. He was playing CDM on his own, and now he's got someone next to him. An extra CDM for me was just really beneficial. It kind of helped me shore up the defence a little bit. With the fullbacks obviously on overlap, it didn't really make the world of difference because, like I said when I was discussing the tactic, you've got those two CDMs there to help provide that level of protection. But anyway guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I appreciate anyone who's watched. I appreciate all the support. Please do feel free to drop a like and also subscribe too. Like I said, it would mean a lot to me. But thank you so much for watching everyone, and I will catch you all next time.